replay. Don't stop. Click. No, stop. Welcome. Hello, and thank you for catching the replay. Stop and watch this live cooking show today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Food and Faith Hub. I'm Asasu here. I'm gonna wait for you guys to come on in, come on in. Come on into my kitchen. Come on in TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for catching the replay, okay? And make sure you like, share, follow, and subscribe. Do I need to, the YouTube, do I need to bring it down more?
Very good.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. This one in this middle. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Food and Faith Hub today. My name is Ima Sasu. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are gonna get started really soon. This is our brunch series part 2. And today, guys, for our brunch series part 2, I'm gonna show you guys how to make French crepe, okay? Crepe is like having a pancake, but it's a thinner version. It's lighter. It's very tasty, very yummy. You can make it savory, or you can just make it like plain. Today, I'm gonna show you the basic plain version, okay, of making a crepe. If you're on TikTok, please share TikTok and follow, share with moms, get moms on here, share with your girlfriends, your besties. Go ahead and share. If you're on YouTube, share. Instagram, share. Welcome. Don't forget to give me some loves on TikTok. Give me some loves on Instagram. Leave a comment. I want this cooking show to be interactive and live. And we're going to talk about, I'm going to see what we're going to talk about. But whatever we're going to talk about today is going to be based around marriage and relationships. So go ahead and share this live with someone, okay? And we're going to get started in just 1 minute. So, how many we got on here? So just come on in. Welcome. 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 What's wrong? It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Welcome. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome again. My name is Ima Sasu from Sasu Flavors, and today is our Food and Faith episode 10 of our live cooking show, and this is our brunch series. Welcome. And I'm gonna show you guys how I make French crepe, okay? And my husband is gonna be here with me too. So, can you come please? He's gonna be with me today. He is actually, this is my husband, Richard, for everybody on TikTok, Instagram,
Hello,
Facebook.
everybody.
Welcome, welcome. My husband is actually the one who started making crepes first in this house. And then I learned how to make it from him actually, okay? Let me turn the TikTok here. This is my second time going live on TikTok. Okay. So first things first, let me know in the comments if you've ever had crepe before. Like I said, crepe is like having a pancake, but it's a smaller version. It's lighter and flatter. I don't like pancake, but I do like crepe, okay? So if you can make crepes, then you are on your way to making exquisite food. So first things first, we're gonna go over the ingredients. I'm going over the ingredients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll go over the ingredients.
It's not sure.
You should stand here. You're not showing on the TikTok.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Okay, well stay right here then. Okay. So first things first, guys. I have some flour here. I'm gonna be using some flour, and this flour is some organic flour. It's from the company Arrowhead Mills Flours. Then I have a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg, okay? All the ingredients are gonna be in the description box of the video, so don't worry. After I come off live, I'm gonna post a video. Don't forget TikTok to share, like, share with your friends. This is some organic cane sugar here. And I have some vanilla extract, 2 eggs, and some milk that's been at room temperature, okay? You wanna make sure your milk is at room temperature. And some sea salt. And we're gonna need some butter, okay? I'm gonna get that butter melted. So, first thing is I'm gonna go ahead and put the dry ingredients in here. So I'll let you put the dry ingredients in, sir.
Okay. So first, as a flour.
Mm-hmm.
That's 1 cup, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to say. I'll put it in the thing.
Okay. And then that's sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Cane sugar. And then that's nutmeg, cinnamon.
And just my salt fell. So. Okay.
And there's the salt.
So we're gonna go ahead and mix the dry ingredients first. So when you're making your crepe, you go ahead and we're gonna mix the dry ingredients together. Mix it really well. And if you are not a fan of all-purpose flour, this is organic all-purpose flour, you can use spelt flour. The next time I can show you guys how to make it with spelt flour, but I gotta make it first so I can see how it tastes, okay? Because I know some people, they cannot have gluten in their diets, okay? So that's our dry ingredients. Kayla, can you come melt the butter for me?
Can do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and now we're gonna make the wet ingredients, okay guys? So I'm gonna go ahead and crack my 2 eggs. And these eggs, they have been sitting at room temperature, okay? You wanna take them out at least 30 to 40 minutes before you get started, okay? And then I'm gonna wash my hands. Oh no.
I'm gonna let it go.
And then after we put the 2 eggs in, we're gonna go ahead and pour our milk in. This is some organic milk here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and use some vanilla extract, okay? That's about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So then I'm gonna whip this together, because since we have to melt the butter, it has to cool down some, because you don't want to put your butter in here and it cooks your eggs, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just whisk this together. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had crepe before. Let me get some paper towel. I know it's Friday and it's lunchtime. If you're on your lunch break, you're just passing by. Welcome, welcome. I use the metal thing. Okay, you can whisk that for me, and so we're gonna whisk that up. And I am here melting the butter, okay guys?
And get the butter melted.
Yeah.
But that's almost done. Don't want it to.
Yeah.
Because the heat. Your eggs are room temperature. So we're waiting on the butter.
Okay. I'm gonna let it cool, just cool down a bit so it doesn't. So this is your batter here, and then I'm gonna let the butter just cool down just for a minute or two, okay? So this is gonna be like having a French crepe, okay? A French crepe, wherever you are, in the US, in the Virgin Islands, in Africa, wherever you are, you're gonna enjoy this crepe. And if you missed our live last week, you wanna go ahead and play that live, because in that live we made omelet from scratch. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour the melted butter in and mix it really quick. And make sure that your butter is not hot, because you don't want it to start cooking your eggs, okay? Okay. So now that we have that, now we have our wet mixture here for our crepe. Now we are going to pour it into our dry batter. So as you pour, mix as you pour. Okay? It smells good with this. And if you don't like nutmeg, because some people don't like nutmeg, you can omit that. You can even omit the cinnamon too, but it gives your crepe a really nice flavor, okay? Because remember, this is Sasu Flavors. We're all about the flavors. We are making crepe And you can have crepe for breakfast or brunch, okay? You can turn this into a savory crepe by adding your bacon, your sausage, what else? Your ham, your cheese. You can make it savory. Add whatever meat you like with it. If you want to eat it with your tofu, your fish, you can add it just like that, or you can have it with some eggs, okay? So after this, I take it to another step after I whisk it really well. And this looks like it's good, but just to make sure there's no lumps and bumps in your crepe mixture, I like to put it in the blender so that it just smooths it out and you have a nice smooth batter, okay? Let me know if you've made crepe before. After you have this one, you're gonna love it, okay? So now guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put my crepe into this blender, okay? Because I want it nice and smooth before we put it to fry. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that in. Scrape the rest, scrape the bowl with a spatula. And then we're gonna blend it up. So now that we have blended up, we're gonna go ahead and remove it and pour it back into our bowl. And you guys are gonna see how nice and smooth it looks. Look at that, guys. That looks amazing. Look at that. So I'm going to scrape everything I need to get out of this. I'm going to scrape it all out. And then usually once you make this crepe, usually you let it sit for about 10 minutes before you fry it, because it just settles and all the ingredients gets into it really well. But since everything was sitting at room temperature, it should be good to go, okay? So now I'm gonna get my measurements so I know how much I need, like the 1/4 cup. Let's see. I could use this 1/3. So I can know how much. So while we can set this to the side, and then I'm gonna get the pan so we can begin putting our crepe together, okay? And I'm just using this induction cooktop. If you want to know where I got it from Amazon. And I can put the link in the comments if you want to get it there too. All right. So we're gonna turn this on. I'm gonna get the pan. Now I usually use a crepe pan, but this stove does not allow me to use a crepe pan, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So this is a crepe pan that I usually use for the crepe. It does it really well because when you're making this crepe, you don't want it too big and thick because it's a thin, flat batter, okay? So this is the crepe pan that I usually use, but I'm going to use this here. And I'm going to get the butter because we're going to need butter. So this is going to get warm and then we're going to start. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had crepe. Who's on Instagram? No, this is TikTok. Thank you for joining. We are making crepe today. So now this pan is warm. So we're gonna go ahead and rub a little butter on there. When you're making the crepe, you just rub a little butter for each crepe, okay? We are making French crepes today. Here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I usually take about a 1/4 cup and add. And then I'm gonna put it in here and just watch. You put it in here, and once you put it in, you gotta start swirling it around. Because remember, we want it to be nice and thin and flat, okay? Okay. So now, guys, crepes are very delicate and they don't require too much cooking. Just give it like maybe a minute. Just give it like a minute. See how it looks inside here? We are making French crepe. If you're just hopping on, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Ima Sasu, Food and Faith Hub. If you are on TikTok, go ahead and share this out. And YouTube, you know what to do. Click that thumb button, share it, share it, share it. So I'm gonna flip it now, and you always simultaneously flip it back around. Kayla, let me have the white circle plate. So once they're finished, you can put them on a plate. This smells amazing, guys. So what are we gonna talk about today? It's Food and Faith Hub. We talk about food, we talk about God, we talk about marriage, relationship. So if this is your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now the question, I was talking to one of my friends, and the conversation came up with about should a woman serve her husband like his food? Should she put his food down? I need a plate, a white plate. Should her husband serve him food? And who should be served first? If you have kids, should you serve the kids food first, or should you serve your husband's foods first? We had a conversation about that. And remember last week our conversation was about, is it a woman's job to be in the kitchen? I need a white circle plate. Is it a woman's job to be in the kitchen? And we discussed that some cultures, the woman has to be the only one in the kitchen. It's like taboo. I'm gonna do another one for you guys. It's like taboo for a man to come into the kitchen. Some cultures, it's okay for the man to come into the kitchen. So the question was asked, should you know, if you are aspiring to be a wife, should you know how to cook? And that question was asked, and in my opinion, I said, as a woman, and you're thinking about getting married and having kids, it would be good, it would be to your advantage and to the advantage of your kids that you know how to cook, because you don't want your kids to go out and just be eating out all the time, because we know that eating out all the time is not good. They put processed things in the food when you eat it outside. And before you get married, it's a good thing to tell your prospective husband or wife, hey, I don't know how to cook, but I'm willing to learn how to cook. And make sure you have that conversation, because some people are getting married and they're not having conversations about money. They're not having conversations about children. Make sure you find out if he wants to have children, she wants to have children. Make sure you find out if he can cook. Can you cook? Okay, I can't cook, but I'm willing to learn. Make sure you have that conversation, especially if you're dating someone from the Indian culture that's very into their culture. Some African men are very into their culture. Make sure you ask those questions. Some Caribbean men and the American men, some of them, most American men, they love to cook. They love to cook. It's not an issue for them if they can't cook. But as a woman, every man likes it when you feed them some food, okay? So make sure you have that conversation so that there's no surprises, okay? And you don't end up having issues in your marriage because you're not cooking. So I'm flipping this crepe around. So like I said guys, you only need about 1 minute for each side, okay? Maybe even less than that. You want to keep your eyes on the crepe, okay? Now, I guess today's question is, as a wife, should we serve our husbands or should we serve the kids first? Because some men, they don't go to the kitchen, they don't share their food, they don't do anything. So what's your take on that? Some men want the women to serve their food, pick their plates up after they're finished eating. Like, do you think that it's a woman's job to do that? Do you see it as a job? Do you see it as serving? You know, what is your take on that? We are making French crepe today. What is your take on that? Should that woman serve that man, pick up his plate, put his food on the table? In my opinion, if I'm busy, my husband serves his own food. Because when you have, and now to be honest, when the kids come, you tend to, well, I don't know about anybody else, but when the kids came, you tend to serve your kids first before your husband. It's just naturally what we do. So I'm pouring this crepe batter in, and remember, you gotta swirl it around in there, because when you're making crepe, it has to be nice and thin, okay? So yeah, when you have children, it's motherly nature. You're gonna serve your kids first. In some cultures, you better serve that man first because they want their food. I don't know, that's how it is in some African cultures, some Caribbean cultures. The men, the woman have to serve them. And I guess my thing is, does the serving, do you think like it's like you're a slave to them, or do you think that it's honorable to serve your spouse? And maybe my husband will have his opinion so we can hear his side of what he thinks when it comes to that. So serving your husband shouldn't be like you feel like a slave, like I gotta serve. And you as a husband, you shouldn't just sit around waiting for your wife to serve you your food and you don't eat. But some men, they don't, and that's why I'm telling you, before you get married, have these conversations, because some men, they don't enter the kitchen. They don't touch nothing in the kitchen. They don't do anything in the kitchen. And to save yourself the frustration when you get married, you got to ask those questions, okay? So this is our crepe here, guys. You see how it looks? Thin, nice, melts in your mouth. Looks amazing. Let me see what they're saying on Instagram. Hi. Yes, it sure does depend. It does depend on if you're busy. Yeah, you serve your husband. It's honorable to serve your husband, but it should not be like something that has to be forced. Like he's sitting there, I'm waiting for my food. Where is my food? You have not served my food. And you're busy with the kids, or you're busy doing something else, and he is waiting for you to serve his food. Like growing up in the Virgin Islands, I had a friend, like her mom, like that, her mom had to serve her dad. Like he would not get up to do anything. Now she was a stay-at-home mom, and people feel like stay-at-home moms do nothing. They actually doing a lot, staying at home, managing the children and doing all that. So growing up, he did not do anything. Like she had to serve him, and she was always tired and exhausted. And I just used to look at her like, to me, I felt like she was his slave. And so back in the islands, you have some men like that, because the women stay at home and they don't enter the kitchen. They don't go to the kitchen. But in this day and age, you know, with time and the new millennials, you guys have to have that conversation about that, because if you marry somebody from a different culture, they might not enter the kitchen, and you gotta serve them. You gotta get up and put their food before them. You might be tired, exhausted. So those little things do cause some conflicts in some relationships, okay? Not every relationship. So that's why I say have the conversation, okay? Like when you're dating, talk about money, talk about children, talk about how do you feel about in-laws, families. Talk about everything that you need to talk about. Don't let it be a surprise when you get married, like, oh, we didn't talk about this. We didn't have this discussion. Make sure you have the discussion so you know whether you should move on with this person. And then when you get married and that woman is not cooking, or that man is waiting on you to serve his food, don't get mad, because he told you he likes to be served. So you would be surprised the things that people fight for when they get married, okay? And having the children, having kids, that's a whole nother talk. You know, you get into a marriage and you wanted kids, but then during the marriage you couldn't have kids. Like you gotta have those discussions. What if? And you know, because some men, they'll go out and they'll cheat on you. Some men won't do it, but some will. So you gotta have this discussion. Because those things can hamper a marriage. Children, money, not being submissive to your husband. And do you think submission means that you're a slave? No, submission does not mean that you're a slave. You're a helpmeet. You're helping your husband. You're not seeing it as being a slave. You're serving the one that you said that you will serve for the rest of your life. So I'm gonna see what my husband says about that.
About what?
About like should the wife fix the food for the husband, put his plate down, and if she's busy and he's waiting and he's not going into the kitchen. What's your take on that? Because you know some men don't.
I'll say, if the man wants a controlled portion, then he should let the wife serve him. If the man wants to get all he wants, the big meat, everything, the best, then he should go serve himself.
Right.
That is my take on that. However, a woman can serve the man. You know, my wife serves me.
Sometimes.
Yes, she serves me, but sometimes when she brings the food, I look up to the roof and I said, okay, I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to go the doctor's way. You know, so, I mean, it all depends on the household. Now, when you're dealing with a man, you're dealing with the ego. The ego is a big thing. But the ego is also mental. It's a mindset. And so, it depends on the mindset that the person has. All right? If it feels that being served makes me a man, then that is a wrong mindset. All right? Okay. Because you being served or you going to serve yourself, it all depends on the circumstance.
Right.
If you're tired, you come back from work, you know, you sit down, yes, your wife should serve you.
Right.
You know? All right. If both of you are tired, then both of you should serve each other. However it goes, you know? But it doesn't have to be like quote unquote, because I don't read anything like that in the Bible. You know, I don't read anything like that in the Bible. These are cultural things that have come. Yes, the women are the ones that spend time in the kitchen, but that is relative. All right, we're reading the Bible about Jacob that he was cooking, making some stew. So he learned, he stood by his mother. He was the one that spent time with his mother in the house. Right? Whilst Esau was more adventurous going hunting. There was nothing wrong with what Esau was doing. Their nature was different. He was more outgoing. Jacob was more staying at home, helping mama. And so he was making pots of what? Stew. All right? And so what I will say here is that your wife can serve you whenever she can. It shouldn't be something that you should make it a mindset as a man that because I'm a man, I ought to be served. That is a wrong mindset. Because both of you are in the marriage to serve each other. You are the head as a man, and the woman is the one that submits to the man. It doesn't mean that the woman is a slave. The woman is your helpmate.
Yes.
When you treat the woman well, the marriage goes well. All right? If you treat the woman better, the marriage goes better. Because the woman is what makes the business of marriage work. If you look around you in the world, when God created the man, he was only one. Without the woman, we wouldn't have schools, bridges, roads, industries, businesses, presidents, secretary of state. All those things were made possible because of the woman. All right? When the woman came in, multiplication started.
Yeah.
All right? And the woman came in when the man was at rest. All right? So in your marriage, there must be rest in the house. Rest mindset, restful mindset, peace in the house. Everything must be done in harmony and based on agreement. And that doesn't diminish anything at all. The woman must understand that she is the helpmate, that the man is the head. In marriage, the man is the head. It can never alternate the other way around. It doesn't matter what happens. For the marriage to flow according to the order and the structure of God, the man is the head. And being the head doesn't mean being served all the time.
Right.
Because Jesus showed us an exemplified service that the greatest among you must be the what? the servant of all. And he himself, as the creator, washed his own disciples' feet.
Yeah.
So I must serve my wife. And the more I serve her, the more she serves me. And she gives me the best. So that is my thing. So for the men, those of you that the doctors have told you need to cut down your portions, please allow your wife to serve you. But if you don't have that clause, please get the ladle or whatever, go into the bowl and do justice yourself. Because anytime you allow the woman to serve, they're looking at the size of your belly and your waistline. All right? They're looking at you, your belly and your waistline. And they're serving you based on that. Why should I be cheated? All right? She will do it every now and then. I don't have any problem. I don't have a problem being served and serving myself. If I want to eat, I will go serve myself. If my wife is busy or she's not in a place, and I'll serve myself. So that is my take on that.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess if you have people who are very like strict in their culture that a man should not go into the kitchen.
It's a cultural thing. Every area has got its own cultural nuances. And when you're dealing with culture, you are not just dealing with people and a system that has developed around them. You are also dealing with spirits and principalities and powers. Cultures are not just like that. They have a lot of demonic spirits that are embedded in the cultures. And sometimes the cultures are like, if you do this, you have to kill the person. All right? And these are some of the downsides of cultures that makes it quite bad. All right? Cultures are not just there. They develop around people, and the system comes in place, but there are evil forces that also come to entrench themselves in these cultures. All right? And so sometimes what God is trying to teach you is trying to teach you his way. That's the reason why he called Abraham out of his country, out of his kindred, out of his father's house. And he said, to a land that I will show you. So when Abraham went there, Abraham had to now walk with God. And when God declared Abraham righteous and gave Abraham the circumcision, he had to pass it on to everybody that was in his house. And Abraham had a lot of people in his household, over 1,000 people in his household. Young men that were able to fight war were about 318.
Kayla, give me a white plate from up there.
I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay.
So I'll talk as I go. They can hear me.
Okay, so
the young men that were able to fight war were about 318. So 318 young men in the house that can fight war. Then the population of Abraham's house
the long one
was over 1,000. Over 1,000 plus. And he raised them according to the culture that God gave him. You know?
These are the crepes, guys.
This one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So if you had to counsel someone and your husband came to you saying like, my wife is not serving me, I come home and there's no food, she doesn't have anything prepared for me, do you think she's wrong for that?
Can you repeat the question?
Like so your take on service should be, it should not be forced. Whether it's how do you address it if it's culturally? Because some cultures, they don't go into the kitchen.
Yeah, some cultures, if you marry somebody from that culture, then you were raised in that environment,
right,
with that mindset, with that perspective. And that's what I said, that there are a lot of demonic spirits that have embedded themselves in cultures. So sometimes when you're dealing with a culture, you're also dealing with spirits. All right, you are dealing with spirits. And sometimes also there's a mental aspect. The mental aspect is also there. So when the person is keen on having this, that this must be done, and that's what is done in the culture, then if they are living in their country, they are forced to submit to that system because that is where you are. But when you live outside of that country, then there are other forces that your marriage is going to come under, because now your jurisdiction has changed. Anytime we change our environment, we come under different forces. This is spiritual. All right, this is spiritual. When you come to America, go to Sweden, you come under different forces in the environment. So that the kind of forces that are operational in your hometown doesn't operate over there. Now, there are other aspects of it, but however, you are in a different environment, and people have a different mindset, a working schedule that is different. You don't have no relatives there. Nobody's going to pay your rent if you can't pay it. You have to work to pay it. And so your marriage now comes under a different force. And this force begins to exert itself on the cultural perspective that you have. And when this force comes to exert itself on that cultural perspective, then now you have to make adjustments. That if either you want your marriage or you don't want it. And if you want the marriage to work, then you now have to make the necessary adjustments within that new environment that you are in to make things flow. All right? It's all based on understanding. When there's understanding, there's conversation, there's agreement, your marriage will be the best. But then if you come with that thing in your head, that this is what must be done, and even if the woman is from your culture, and then you come into a different environment, both of you are working. One works nighttime, one works daytime. Because you have children, it becomes a very treacherous situation. So you have to navigate it carefully. Everything must stay within a balance and agreement.
And when it's like that, she's still serving him by making sure there's food in the house.
That's
and
right.
All he has to do when he come back is dish his food out.
And then warm his food up.
Right, exactly. So it's all compromise and working as a team and not being, because some marriages, some couples, they compete with each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is abnormal. It shouldn't happen. There should never be a competition when we are on one team.
Yes.
If you play your best, the team wins. If I play my best, it wins. So one is playing, one is supporting, two of you are playing together. All right? Anytime you are even playing soccer or in any game, there's always the one that is always on the attack and the other ones that are giving support. All right? So if the player that is out there, that is the striker that scores the goals, is getting enough support from those that are behind on different positions, the team gets better. You can have more goals, create more chances. So that is how it is. You are a team. You are a team. One thing also that we have to look at is also the pressure that comes from relatives and also friends. All right?
Okay.
Pressure that comes from relatives and friends. We have peer pressure. You have other forces that are exerting itself on your marriage. And if you don't sit down to make your marriage ideally, specifically tailored for your house, then you're going to come under those forces that are out there that are trying to put their mouth in your marriage, and they have no business. When you get married, it's you and your husband and Jesus in the middle. Only Jesus is allowed in the middle of your marriage.
That's right.
Everybody else is an outsider.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible says, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. All right? So all these things must be placed in a balance so that we understand how marriage works and how we need to get into our marriage with the right mindset, with the teamwork. Sometimes you have a husband that comes in there who's a mama's boy, whose mother is manipulating the marriage, or a wife that comes in there whose mother is manipulating the marriage, and therefore you have these outside things that are trying to come in there. And I will say that the husband and the wife must be prayerful, because sometimes what you're dealing with is not natural forces. All right?
Can they hear us?
Yeah, they can hear.
Oh, okay.
All right? So you have anything else? I don't want to take over the conversation.
Oh, I need the bowl for this. Oh, I need to turn this, guys. So our crepes are, I hope you guys are getting something today that you can,
What bowl?
this tiny, the little ones, that you can,
Which one? This?
yes. Were you saying something else? I didn't want to.
No, no, I'm just talking about the forces
Oh,
that
okay.
exert themselves on our marriages, apart from the economic forces in the
And then I
environment
think,
that we live in. You have also outsiders like friends, peers, and then relatives
right,
that will
and it's
exert
like,
themselves on your marriage.
and if you like if you marry someone from a different culture, and so that's really where the conversations have to be. Like when you're counseling and you're dating, you have to discuss certain things because different cultures behave differently, and we must have cultural sensitivity. And but culture should never rule over your marriage. Culture should never be the one that causes friction in your marriage. It's about loving your wife. It's about being a helpmate to your husband. It's about that man loving you. And it's about you being a help to him.
Marriage itself has got its own culture.
Yeah.
All right? The culture of marriage stands on its own. If you understand that marriage has its own culture, then you will succeed in your marriage.
Yeah.
But if you allow your culture to determine what marriage is, then your marriage is not going to succeed. It will work in that environment that you dwell, as far as that culture is concerned. At any time you step outside of that culture, then you're going to go through challenges. So marriage is a culture. Marriage itself is a culture. It was instituted by God, and there is a path that it follows. Once you get to know the mind and the heart of God for marriage and why He instituted that, your marriage will succeed no matter where you go. All right? So marriage is a culture. The culture, the cultural aspect from where we come from, they are secondary. Because the culture didn't institute marriage, God instituted marriage.
Yes.
God gave birth to marriage. And the culture is subjective to the marriage, not the marriage being subjective to the culture. If it becomes like that, then the culture is the boss. And I've said it many times. I will not allow culture to rule me.
Yeah.
I will rule culture because I make culture. Culture doesn't make me.
That's right.
And so that is a mindset that we need to have. I am bigger than culture. All right? And if culture is bigger than you, then your life is going to be controlled by culture.
Well, I guess in that aspect, we could talk about us because I am from the Caribbean. My husband is from Ghana, West Africa. So you have two different cultures. And how we could talk about how that we never allow culture to get into our marriage. We don't allow nobody, mama, papa, sister, nobody.
Love is the culture.
That's right.
Once you have love and understanding, mutual understanding, your marriage will be great. Once you take all the cultural perspectives, their food that she cooks, she used to eat back home. Well, some of their food looks like African food. If I can stomach it, it goes on. And God being good, I can stomach a lot of their food. There's some particular food that I couldn't stomach, some dumplings and some stuff. I just couldn't handle that one. You know? She has also grown to taste some of my food. She likes some of them. She has some of them on her channel. She's cooking some of them. This is what it is all about. Love will make a way, find a way. Love is the culture of marriage. Marriage has got its own culture. Don't allow your pop culture or wherever you come from to infiltrate itself on your marriage and begin to rule your marriage.
Right.
No, you are bigger than the culture. If culture is bigger than me, then I'm the greatest loser of all time. I will not allow culture to rule me. I will rule over the culture. Amen. For God made me special. I'm the one that developed culture. Culture doesn't develop me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's nothing good in our cultures.
Right.
All our cultures have something very good. Why? Because they developed around human beings.
Yeah.
And then we created that system. But because of the fallen nature of man, we have gone beyond where we shouldn't go. And now we are allowing the culture to rule us. That's why sometimes it is hard for marriages to succeed, because the culture is what is driving the marriage. the marriage is not driving the culture. And when it happens like that, then you have two hard-headed people in a marriage that are going against each other.
Yeah.
But let us also not underestimate the spiritual aspect of that, because the culture has got a spiritual aspect. And that's what I said. When you're dealing with a culture, you are not dealing with just mere culture. You are dealing with a lot of principalities and powers that have embedded themselves in the culture.
Yeah.
And until you come to a place where you begin to realize that marriage itself is a culture. And when you learn to cultivate it based on love, mutual understanding, you're going to have the best of marriage. And that is what I want to say. Did that answer the question when I was preaching? Did that sound like I was preaching?
We're going to start preaching to you guys. No, that was good. Love is the culture. And love should be the culture of your marriage. Once you have that understanding, your marriage is going to last. Once you know you love, yes, thank you. Once you know you love your husband and he loves you, there's mutual understanding. All these little petty stuff about food and... Because when you love somebody, you'll do anything for them, right? Once it's right and once it doesn't go against God, you'll do it. So we have finished our crepe. How many crepe did that batter give me? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10. 10 of these crepes, guys.
You do have one of the on your channel too, right?
Yes, and I do have it on my channel. The full recipe is on my channel on YouTube at Sasu Flavors. This is the crepe, guys. Looks amazing. This is our brunch series part 2. And off camera, I made some cranberry raspberry sauce. This is from scratch, real cranberries, real raspberry, okay? Because everything over here is from scratch.
So you have to show them how to make the cranberry next time, maybe.
I think it's on my channel, but we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. My what? Host? Who's the host here? And then here, guys, I have a little maple syrup, okay? No Ancha Mama, no what? What's the other one? No Ancha Mama, no high fructose corn syrup. This is maple syrup, okay? The real deal. Put that on there and it's delicious. And so my kids are gonna have this for lunch today. And
why don't you try one and see how it tastes?
You wanna try one?
No, you try one.
Why I gotta try one?
Yeah, I mean, that's your shoe. You have to test it and make sure it's good.
Okay, let me try one. Can I have a fork?
You have to see you eating it.
Okay. All right. So if you just hopping on, guys, you want to listen to the replay. We talked about who serves and how do we serve and different aspects of marriage with culture. Make sure you listen, okay? And make sure if you are interested in a guy or a guy is interested in you, make sure you have the conversations around cooking, around serving. Make sure you understand his culture, he understands you, and make sure that culture does not hinder or limit your relationship, because at the end of the day, you are not going to be married to his mother physically. You're not going to be married to the culture physically if you don't allow it to. And
this is both ways.
Yeah, both ways.
You know, especially if you have interracial or multicultural marriages.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Because too. you are shifting out of boundary and certain jurisdictions.
Yes.
There are spiritual aspects of these things. All right. So sometimes some of the pressures are because their boundaries have been crossed. And that's the reason why it's imperative you know how to handle the cultural perspective.
And you can imagine
oneness and agreement. Mm-hmm. You don't look down on his culture. He doesn't look down on your culture. But both of you should blend cultures, create one in your house. Create your own culture in the house. And use the Lord, because we are a Christian home. So we use the Bible and we create our own culture in the house.
Yeah.
All right. The food I grew up eating after that one It's still on my tongue. My mama cooked some of the best foods. So I will still love to eat some of these food every now and then. If she's not available to make it, she know how to make some of them. I know how to make it. All right? I can make it and she comes home and sometimes she enjoys that too.
Yeah.
All right? So that's all I have to say.
But that's a whole nother topic too with in biracial couple, interracial couples.
Interracial,
They
that's
go
right.
through their own struggles and cultural aspects too. So maybe one day we'll find an interracial couple that we could have this conversation with too, because I'm sure they go through their own struggles too. That's a
right.
whole nother cultural shift for them, shifting into another, because you know, Black people do things different, white people do things different, Asians do things different. We all do different things differently and we all behave differently. So here is the crepe, guys. I'm gonna taste it.
Is that good? It's good?
It tastes amazing. You want some?
No, eat for now. Because I want the whole portion. I don't want them to see me eat.
But you're telling me to eat.
Yeah, you have to try it.
So it's nice and thin. It's soft. And with the addition of the cranberry raspberry sauce. And if you don't like cranberry raspberry, you can also do blueberry. You can do strawberry, whatever you like. You can cut fresh fruits to put on your crepe, okay? And this is a great brunch idea for a holiday weekend. On the weekend when you don't want to have a big dinner, you can have a brunch where you have crepe as one of the options. Last week, my husband showed you guys how to make a veggie omelet with cabbage and lots of other nice things. You can go to my channel at Sasu Flavors on YouTube to watch the replay. And I hope you guys enjoyed our brunch series part 2 and the discussion that we had around marriage, who serves who, cultural differences. I hope it helps you as you are in your marriage, or if you're thinking about getting married. Those are some things to take into consideration. Have conversations around culture, food, money, children. Just have conversations. Don't let anything catch you by surprise when you get married. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Make sure you have conversations and you are vulnerable to tell your prospective person how you feel, what you expect in him, and he can tell you what he expects too. And everything should be based on what does the Bible say. If you're a Christian, if you're a believer, we follow what the Bible says, and that should be your basis, because at the end of the day, it's only God that's going to keep your marriage together. And you have some people that are not Christians and they have a long-lasting marriage, because marriage in itself is a covenant and God honors covenant. And if two people come together and they decide that, hey, we're going to make this marriage work, you see that marriage flourish. People have been married for 40 something years and they might not be Christians, but there's something about marriage, because God honors marriages. He honors covenants, okay? So when you see some people who are not Christians and their marriage are prospering, it's just because God honors covenant and he honors marriage. So marriage is very powerful. Okay, yes. Yes, can you just send me can you send me a message in my messenger so I can I'll tag you the recipe. Just send me a message, okay? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense that if you look at some people, they're not Christians, but they've been married for 40 something years. But when you're a Christian, you want somebody that knows God. But let's say two people get married and they never knew anything about getting saved or knowing Jesus, but their marriage lasts because God honors covenant. He honors marriage. So when you come into covenant and you anytime you go to if let's say you go to the courthouse or you go somewhere and somebody marries you, they always say a vow before God. They always invite God into that marriage. That shows you that marriage is very powerful. So having the discussion before you get married about food, culture, especially if you're marrying somebody from a different culture. If you're marrying an American woman, an American man, you understand the culture already. You have the language already to express it. But you still must have conversations, because let's say you marry an American woman and she don't cook, but you knew she didn't cook and she told you, well, I'm willing to learn. You marry an American man, he's like, babe, it's okay, I'll cook. Don't worry about that. Have the conversation. If you're marrying somebody from a different culture, you're from a different culture, understand their culture, what they expect. Let them know, hey, I can do this, but I'm not going to do this. And you have to know the man that you're marrying, because he might be so deep into his culture. And if you see that as a red flag, you might want to run and say, hey, well, I don't think I'm going to marry him because he's still a mama boy, he's still a this boy, he's still a dad. Like, you have to know, like, don't wait till you get married to say, oh, I didn't know, because before you get married, there's always red flags, there's always signs, you always know. There's something in you as a woman to know if a man is not right and somebody's not right. Yes, just send me a message on Instagram and I'll send you this recipe. Or I'll even post it under this with this recipe too, guys. So that's very important before you get married, to have those discussions. And like we say, like my husband said, love is a culture. Like, we all come from different cultures, but the culture should never dictate our marriage. Love should be the culture between us. Christ at the head of our marriage, and then we follow and we live right with each other, you know? And serving your husband, meaning literally, you have to put his plate down before him. Is that your job to do? If you're available, there's nothing wrong with serving your husband. There's nothing wrong with him serving you. You just have to, I think people just let little stuff mess up in their marriage, and you gotta have mutual respect for each other. Like, he should respect you and you should respect him. The Bible says the husband should love the wife as Christ loved the church, and we should submit. Submit doesn't mean that you're being a slave. It's like you come in under authority, like you at a job, and there are certain rules, there are certain things that you have to follow, because you come under the leadership of that person that's over you on your job. So now you're like a helpmate. You're doing the task that you're supposed to do, that you're required to do. You're not a slave, but you're just submitting under that authority, under the head of that household. So I think these days when women hear submission, they think like, oh, I'm not a slave, because I think that word has been misused. And people think when they hear the word submission, they think that, oh, I'm not going to be his slave, you know. And some men do make you feel like you're a slave. And I think we just have to change our mindset. You have any other additional comments?
Are you coming over here?
I'm coming.
Yeah, they're waiting on you.
You have any additional comments?
Some of them are for marriage counseling.
Okay.
And then some of them, they have to pay to get a ticket. Get a ticket. All right, but in a nutshell, that's what we have said. Like I said, the marriage itself is a culture. Marriage itself is a culture. Cultures evolve out of marriages. The reason why we have cultures is because there was marriage. God brought the man and the woman together. The man and the woman gave birth, and then gave birth, and they gave birth, and now we have all the cultures of the world. They all came out of marriages. So we cannot allow the cultures to control the marriage, but the marriage to control the culture. All right? Because marriage is a bigger institution than cultures.
Yeah.
Cultures evolved out of marriages. Yes.
All right, so I guess that's it. If anybody has any questions, we'll give you a few seconds. If you have a question, comment, anything, just let us know. If you are not following me on YouTube, go ahead, click the link in my bio on Instagram and follow me on my YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Remember to click the thumbs up, leave me a comment, because that lets YouTube know that, hey, we love this content and we want to see more of it. So go ahead and follow me, okay? This is our episode 10 of our Food and Faith live cooking show. Next week, we'll be back. I'll be back probably Thursday or Friday. I'll send an alert out and I'll have another brunch series recipe for you guys. I know next week is Easter weekend, so I'll try to come up with something that I can have that you guys can use for that time of fellowship. And you know, we don't do the Easter bunny and all of that. We believe in Christ, that he rose from the grave. We don't do no Easter bunny, no Easter egg. We're not into all of that. Okay? So if you don't have any questions, that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for our 10th episode. Yes! Number 10. Okay, so I'm gonna wait, see if anybody has any questions, and if not, we are going to close out. And I hope you guys enjoy our live cooking show today. I'm gonna wait. And please share the link.
Yes, share the link to the share button.
People need to hear this information about marriage and have these conversations.
And those on TikTok, hit the follow button and follow us.